Are we rolling? And that's the question. And the answer is yes, we are indeed rolling. Hold on. The traditional slurp of coffee. This is another one of those roll out of bed and I'm in my PJs, dumpster divers, PC reclamation, amateur, casual videos. And I'd just like to say that my wife makes good coffee. If it can taste this good, being in the machine overnight, she has to make good coffee. Oh my goodness, that is good. All right, I'm coming over there. Give me a moment here. Gotta adjust my tripod a little bit because it's not quite wide open. Well, I guess that's what I'm gonna have to settle for now. Hold on. There, that dropped it down a little bit. I'm trying to get it in there. All right, so you can properly view my handsome features. Okay, all right, I'm on my way. I'm making my way over there in my PJs. All right, my name is Ed King, and welcome to another Dumpster Divers PC Reclamation Making It Count home videos. Some of you who have watched my videos before or are familiar with my videos might find this look familiar. But this is an entirely different unit. This is the older model of what I had recently shown in my videos. That was the Dell Studio XPS 9100. This is the 9000, the 453T//9000, the flagship prototype that they came out with back in the day. I'm not exactly sure precisely when it came out. I think it was in 2009. The other one was actually 2010. I mistakenly thought it was a 2009. But the BIOS actually says 2010. And that has a totally different system board than this particular one. And personally, I prefer this system board that's in this one better than the 9100. I noticed that some people were commenting on the CPU, the i7-960, as being a can't remember the name of it anymore, but they're mistaken. I know the big scary talk about Spectre meltdown with that particular processor chip, but I wish the name would come to me. But I know what they're saying, and no, the CPU that is generally found in these models is the Bloomfield, and the other one that they were talking about came after the Bloomfield. And actually, when it comes to Intel processor chips, almost none of them are really safe from the Spectre meltdown vulnerability, if you want to call it that, that exploit. But I mean, it can be guarded somewhat with software that can offer some measure of protection, but it's kind of like paper wall dividers. You know, it isn't really any solid protection. Those paper wall dividers can be knocked down, you know. They may as well be, you know, Japanese walls, you know, and those Japanese houses made of paper, right? Like those, any hacker well-seasoned hacker can get past those software attempts at security from Spectre meltdown on Intel processor chips. And almost, even prior to the turn of the millennium, like some of the 1998 whatever CPUs were vulnerable to the Spectre meltdown. Spectre meltdown, that vulnerability is with over 80% of Intel processor chips. Okay, so if you're worried about that, well, may as well not even buy Intel processor chips. Now, that's not to say that AMD and other companies don't have their issues as well. The reason why Windows, for example, is such a target for hackers and other dubious characters is simply because Windows is so popular. And even Linux sometimes has some malware attacks and things made on Linux as Linux continues to progress and become increasingly popular. No system is safe, and I could probably do a little bit of a video on security at some point. You do what you can, and this is why it's important to have backups, but also important not to rely too much on backups alone for your security. I highly recommend that you make drive images, and I don't mean the Windows system image. I mean drive images of like actual duplicates of your drives, especially the drives with your operating systems or system on it, because backup can only do so much in backups, especially Windows backups. I would say Windows backup is probably about 60% reliable. Okay, backups are not enough, and that's kind of like a theme song I've been singing to people for years now, being the recipient of losing a lot of data myself and learning how to deal with data loss. But I digress. But if you're worried about Spectre meltdown, then by all means make sure that you're making drive images of your drive so that if there is any kind of vulnerability or anything, a malicious attack made on your PC, you have an exact duplicate of all your data and your operating system at some point anyway. And another thing I recommend would be any new data that you put on your drive, make sure you make a copy of that. Also, like in an archived separate drive. If you do those two things, odds of you losing your data it's almost zero. It's almost zero. I'm not going to say it's absolutely zero because stuff happens, but it's pretty well secured. Just a backup alone won't cut it. I'm not saying don't make backups, because backup can be a faster, quicker way to fixing your problem, okay? Just like I'm not saying don't make system restores in Windows. Yes, please do make system restore points in Windows, but understand that it's not a guaranteed fix. Neither is Windows backup. Neither are all these other third-party software programs that promise to back up your data. No, neither is Windows OneDrive, guaranteed to fix your problem. No, okay. You need to take personal charge, make an exact duplicate of everything that is on your operating system on another drive, and take that drive and tuck it in a nice, dry, dark corner someplace where you can find it in the event that something happens. Now, people say, yeah, but Chester, Ed, Rusty, whatever you want to call me, that data's going to be old. Well, that's where you go into, you have a drive with your archives on it that You know, once a week, whatever, take everything that you've done, all your work, and move it. Move it. You know, should it happen to you in term and you didn't happen to get it all moved, don't worry too much about that, because there are ways of extracting your personal files off the drive that is being corrupted, okay? There are ways of doing that, and I can do that in another video for you. But in the meantime, I really do digress, but backups are so important, guys, but having drive images is even more important than backups. Having an exact duplicate of your operating system on a different hard drive that has all your data, has the personal files that at least you had at the time that you made it, and an external drive or a second drive with copies, duplicates of your personal files on it. Not an option if your data means something to you. If your data is really important to you. Now, all is games or whatever, and you can reinstall games. That's not a big deal. But that's why I'm spending so much time on this subject, because security is important, especially these days, what they're doing with all this crazy vulnerability. Now, my understanding is that Intel has almost got the Spectre meltdown problem licked. How much mitigation occurred at the hardware level? I mean, I'm talking about the architecture of the CPU itself. I can't say. I don't know. I'm not an Intel insider, okay? But the word is out that Intel has most of this dealt with. You know what I mean? Like, how much you can count on that, I can't say. You know, maybe that's why they narrowed down people being able to use Optane, and maybe that's why they took away their IRST, Rapid Storage Technology, and are limiting it to their own line, their own NUC line. You know, I was sad to see Optane vanish, but you know, that's a personal thing of mine. But anyway, there's an Intel chip in this unit, and Phison? Is it Phison? No. Anyway, Nehalem. Yeah, this is not a Nehalem CPU. This is a good old Bloomfield. One of the flagship forerunners. This chip is what made the quad cores of the i7 generation so popular. This is pre-Sandy Bridge, pre-Ivy Bridge. These old chips, the i920, the i960, those chips were tough. They were built tough, made to take a lot of heat and made to perform. And they are good old chips. You know, and the proof is in the pudding, because people are still using them today. And they were made for the X58 platform. And there's almost an X58 cult out there where people are still, you know, overclocking X58 platforms and, you know, showing what the X58 can do. Now, admittedly, I mean, we are looking at, what, 15 years or so going back? They are not going to, you know, blow the doors off any of the high-end, modern, you know, high-performance CPUs. But they still pull their load. They still do pretty good. You know, you can still play about 80% of most games on these CPUs. And you can get them now for a song, you know, used on eBay or all these other places. And you could, as an enthusiast, you can have a great time building a pretty peppy little machine. In fact, they're so popular, I've run into a bit of a problem. What you see here, this is my 16-year-old daughter's PC. It used to be mine. It was probably, yeah, I would say this is the last proprietary desktop computer I ever purchased in my life. 15 years ago, after that, I mean, I was already into a little bit of PC building and maintenance and repair and all that kind of stuff back then. I've been doing this for over 2 decades now. You know, but I've wanted I actually found it on a pretty good deal from Dell. I think I bought it maybe in 2010, but it was a 2009 model, right? Brand new. And I had a lot of fun with it. I learned a lot about PCs with it, and I upgraded it many times over. And eventually, I found myself needing a little bit more in the way of performance and a little bit more, in the way of accessibility. This one did not come with hot swappable bays, things like that I needed for doing PC repairs. So I handed it down to my well, actually I handed it down to my wife, and then eventually I built my wife a faster PC and more suited to her preferences, and this became my daughter's PC, but she's 16 now. But do you think she wants to get rid of it after having it for 5 years in her own possession? No, she won't give it up, which means I have to get it tuned up and running better for her. And believe it or not, yes, it's happened. The system board is finally going. This, just to give you an idea how tough these old X58 platforms are. This thing has blowing caps. I should have taken a picture. You could see the yellow dust coming out from the capacitor and the rounding on the capacitor. I mean, come on, it's a 15-year-old motherboard, right? This thing is so determined to work. It still works, and it still boots, and the operating system still works, but occasionally you'll get a blue screen, occasionally you'll get, system errors, occasionally you'll get these problems because it's old and because, it has bad capacitors. But talk about a stubborn machine. I mean, it just doesn't want to die. And, I've got the outgassing on the cap, so I think it's time. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get the system board replaced. But my daughter, she's like, I don't want you to change anything. I want the same system board. I want it as close to the same as you had it before. I don't want you changing the platform. I don't want modern. I like the X58 platform. Dad, can you please? Now she does video editing. She does all kinds of stuff, and she does it. I've already got the graphics card out of it. This is just an MSI 1080 Ti, very popular card back in the day, but it definitely does more than the graphics card that came with these from Dell. But I've got the matched color anyway with it, and it glows a nice red through her case. But just to prove that it's definitely not the same one that you were looking at in the other videos, you can see there's definitely different components. So what we're going to do, I have a system board that is identical. I mean identical to this system board that's in here. All the caps in it are good. I got that a long time ago because a bit of a story there. I was trying to be fair with my daughters, and my it's my first, my second, my third daughter, I call her my blondie. I wanted her to have a system that was just as good as her bigger sister's system board. So I bought her a computer that was almost identical to this one, another 9100 or a 9000 Studio XPS. Well, in shipping, there was a bit of a disaster there, and it looked like it fell off the back of a pickup truck. And some components were damaged, I have to say. Hard drives were gone. Some memory sticks were damaged. The CPU was totaled, or not the CPU. The graphics card was totaled. Pardon me. But the actual system board was fine. The system board, there was nothing wrong with the system board that I could see. Fortunately, the insurance covered all that, so I got a full refund back, and I was very happy. I bought a few other articles from that seller on eBay, and because they were very forthright, and I wish I could remember. And plus, they're environmentally concerned. Like they do the whole environmental theme, kind of like me, where they're trying to diminish e-waste, stuff that works. They want to resell type of thing, or maybe they fix it up and resell it. Right? But great, I love that kind of thing. But unfortunately, there had been an accident in shipping, and I even had like the broken pieces of plastic that were all in the shrink wrap, and it was sad. But anyway, that aside, the system board was immaculate in this, and there was like no dust in the computer. It's a shame what happened to it, really. So I was told to keep it. No extra charge. I was told to keep it. So I had a brand new system board and all these parts. Well, that's how I managed to come into possession of an identical make model system board for this unit. Nothing wrong with it. I know it works. I put it on my bench. It works fine. It's too bad about the other components. The hard drives were shot, that's for sure. But no worries. I got it for free. Why should I complain, right? So and so I kept it for a rainy day, thinking, you never know, something could happen to the working X58. Yeah, and my blondie, she got, instead of a Dell, I felt bad for her, and so I let her select her own case, and I built her a computer from scratch with the Gigabyte X58 platform. And she was very happy with that. She got to pick the case, the color, and everything herself, and I built that up for her. So that's what happened on her end of things. So she didn't get one identical to her sister, but she got one very good and very efficient, and still an X58 platform. I've got a weakness for X58 platforms myself, but of course I've moved on to the X99, and that's already becoming dated now. But there it is. So now I have to change out the system board because it's starting to make problems. But I just can't believe how it just hangs on there. And I don't see very many modern system boards showing that much resilience, if I will. It's amazing. She could probably use this thing indefinitely. I mean, she just, whenever it blue screen, she just reset, and there she's off to go again. But no, we're going to give her what she wants, and fortunately, we can give her what she wants. I want to make some improvements on it. I want to give her a better cooler. She's got the i960. I had upgraded from the i920 to the i964. She's going to have just a little bit of upgrading, like a better cooler. The 600 watt power supply is probably as much as she really needs for her system. I could probably give her something a little bit better, but it might be overkill for what she does. I don't know, because I would really like to swap this out with something like a 270, or but she doesn't want that, and she's happy with what she has. So I have to follow. I've got to keep my girls happy. So, but I know she'll let me give her a better cooler, So I'm going to give her a better cooler. Because she does do video rendering and stuff like that, so maybe a better cooler. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this Cooler Master cooler, but you know, I want to give her a better cooler anyway. And just, you know, general cleanup, you know, clean the dust out of it, maybe some better fans. There's not a lot in the way of fans in here anyway, but I want to, this is going to be a video about swapping out a system board. And I don't know how much I can show you, but I'm going to try to find some way of showing you how it's done. And one of the things I want to recommend, I don't know if I can show this to you or not here, but draw diagrams of where all your wires are. Okay, and then, you know, list them numerically, and then you can write beside each one, you know, precisely which wire goes where, so that you have like your data lines exactly where they were on the original. That helps. That's a tip. But if you do that, keep your notes. This is voice of experience, guys. You know, what happens in port 1, port 2, you know, do that. Make little notes like that. You want to try to keep it as original as possible. It's still not going to have the same serial number. Every board is different. There is going to be differences. Okay, and this is going to be interesting to see how well it works with operating systems that may be registered to the system board. We're going to see how Windows deals with that. Other than that, that's all I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to show you. And, you know, I mean, I probably don't have to show you like the unhooking and then writing down, you know, blue SATA wire on number 1 SATA port. You know, I don't have to, you know, bore you with all that. But you get the idea, you know. Take notes where you're putting your wires when you undo your system board, so that you can reconnect those wires in as close to the same position as you had them on the original board. That's the first tip that I want to give you in swapping out system boards. And I think I know from whence I speak, because I've done this so many times for other people. So with no further ado, I'm going to leave it at that for now. This is kind of like introduction. And I'll show you over time how I'm doing this. And because, well, you know, some of you probably haven't seen any video where anybody has done something like that. Just swapping out, you know, one system board to another system board. And I think that's important if we're going to try to alleviate the e-waste that is being generated by people throwing away computers for no good reason. I want to show you, even with proprietary computers, you can still do it. All right, that's, you know, proprietary is a bit tricky because you pretty well have to have those proprietary components, which I have. Okay, but it can be done. It certainly beats throwing away a computer that could work perfectly well, okay, into e-waste, and then having to dole out more money. You know, it's not economically viable, it's not environmentally viable, it's just bad all the way around. Everybody loses, okay? So anyway, thank you for watching my video. I will be back with the part 2. God bless you.